invitation, first of all, to stop being jealous and to find out what it is we're not doing that other people. We need to deal with ourselves. And you know, I think a lot of times we're talking about sloth. We're talking about laziness. We're just too lazy. We don't want to put in that much effort. Or maybe, God help the poor people who do it, but maybe you've been in a church and you were slapped down. You had a gift and it wasn't cultivated, and you were slapped down and told, just, get back in your seat. And it broke your heart. You need to get healed of that. Because that gift that God gave you is still alive. He wants you to use that gift. Don't let anyone slap you down. Yes, there's a place for order, for rules of order, and to do everything in order. But if you've been given a gift, and you can't be trained in that gift and raised up in that gift where you are, it's time to move on, to find a place where there is room for your growth. And that's very important to the body, because you someday will be used as a messenger of healing to other people who need that touch. There's not enough people to go around to touch the ones that are wounded. There's not. We need more healers. We need more wounded healers. People who have come from that kind of background, and they understand what you're going through, and they cover you with compassion and prayer and lead you in the right direction. So I'm all for schools of prophecy and prophetic. I think that's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. There's far too few. We're talking about attaining the whole measure of the fullness of Christ, okay? That's what we're talking about. And we're talking about the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament. Each individual minister is a supporting ligament to the pastor and to one another. There's no favoritism. There's no division. And the pastor honors the gifts bestowed on each individual by Christ the head. The head is the one who does the bestowing of the gifts. The pastor moves from becoming a pastor and an overseer to becoming a coach, to raise those people up and to make sure that they're progressing in the giftings that God has given them. As each part does its work, everyone has the opportunity to use their gifts, and believe you me, there's plenty of room for every gift you can imagine. They're nourished in many different ways with different talents and abilities. And there's no room for jealousy because everyone's busy being productive and using their gift. Rather, there is a growing sense of new life and excitement. Things are expanding. People are being added to the body daily, bringing others in. And people are not only being added, they're being raised up and sent out. Or they're being added and they stay. They don't move on right away because they're finding the nourishment. Okay. Let's move on now and let's talk about fear. Because the two principalities that were over the island in Visions of the Harvest that the Lord revealed to Rick Joyner were jealousy and fear. So let's take a look at the inner workings of fear and what's really at the foundation of fear. What part does fear play in making the body weak and sickly? Fear of the new, the unknown, the different. It becomes a habit. We've used, fear has its place. We use fear to protect ourselves and to protect our interests, to protect our family. In some ways, it's a healthy response to something that we don't know, we don't understand. But then God has given us an intellect, and we can go beyond the point of brushing something aside because we're in bondage to fear. We can go beyond that, and we can take the time necessary to discern, is this a threat or is this a blessing from God? That takes time and effort. And a lot of us are so busy about the work of the Lord, that we don't have time to really look into a person's background, where they came from, what they teach, with an open mind to discern whether or not we should be afraid of that person, or whether or not that person's going to be a blessing to us. So many times that's what we do. We just say, oh, I'm just too busy for that. I can't handle that right now. It's just too much. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. And Satan is an artist at sending his demons in and getting you busy with something. Martha, getting you busy with things, because he knows something's coming that's a real blessing, and he doesn't want you to recognize it, so he'll get you busy with things. You'll be so overwhelmed that when that potential blessing comes, you won't have time to discern it, and you'll miss the Lord. He's done that to me many times. It takes a while to get onto that trick. The minute you find yourself being so busy and overwhelmed with things, it's like when there's two thieves in a store. One goes to the cash register and makes a big ruckus, makes a scene, and everybody's drawn to that person's scene. In the meantime, his buddy over there is picking up everything in sight, sticking it under his coat, and making out the door. And the alarm may go off, but they're so busy listening to the guy hollering and making a scene, they don't even know it. So the enemy gets away with theft, grand theft, thieving of life, thieving of gifts. He gets away with it because we're so caught up in the world and worldly things that we're not paying attention, close attention, to what's really in front of us. There's a lot of virtue to be had in checking with the Lord before you do anything, because anything we do, it's going to take time. First of all, we don't waste time. Time is a precious gift. It's going to take time, it's going to take resource and attention, and it's going to take effort, which will wear you out. And if you haven't checked with the Lord before you do something, you may be being set up by the devil to miss something else because you're just too tired. You can't deal with everything.